Hey, I'm here with my good friend Reed Mack. We're on our second segment here, and we've been talking a little bit about what Calico Rock was like when you was a boy, and now you're going to share with me a little bit what it was like, more like as a teenager, and how your life developed from there, and what kind of what things was back then. Reed, now you graduated. What year was it in high school?
I graduated from high school in 1947.
1947.
I skipped another year.
You skipped another year.
Actually, I did.
How was you? I was 16 when you graduated?
I was 16 years old when I graduated.
Wow, 16.
And that created some problems later on, but when I get to that, I'll tell you.
Okay, now when you graduated from high school, and then what was your next step? Because I know you later went into pharmacy school and some things like that.
Well,
but was there anything interrupted in the middle of that?
I don't remember a lot about the 7th or 8th or 9th grade. We had basketball, but we didn't have a coach then either. The superintendent was our coach, even in my senior year.
Yeah.
Our superintendent, who knew nothing at all about basketball. But anyway, at the end of the 10th grade, or the starting in there, that there were some of us that looked, and maybe we had taken another class or something, but we thought, if we do something here and take enough there, we could graduate here next year. This is after the 10th grade.
Right.
And George Kemp, Jane Smith, Montine Johnson, and I, 4 of those out of that 10th grade class, graduated. We skipped the junior, the 11th grade, and graduated the next year. Yeah. So so we left people like Dean Hudson and Coach Harold Jeffrey and all them. We left them behind there, and they'll never forget that. They're still mad about that. But anyway, in the latter part of my senior year, when I'm going to graduate, sometime in the mail, or that they'd had pamphlets or something like that, there was a small college over at Clarksville, Arkansas, was starting a pharmacy school.
Okay. And
so, I had never thought about what I'm going to do or whether I'm going to college. Never even,
At 16, you're not really thinking about career.
No, I'm too young.
Yeah.
And so I got to thinking about that, and I got one of the teachers there to help me write a letter to them, So I wrote, and they sent my transcript and all that, and they accepted me. And the next fall, I was off.
Wow. So at 17, you started?
I started, I was still 16.
Still 16, yeah.
I wasn't 17 till the next March.
Oh, I see. That's right, because you graduated 16. That's right. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm off to pharmacy school, which at that time was 4 years. Now this is at a little college, the College of the Ozarks, Clarksville, Arkansas. Now the University of the Ozarks. And so I, at the end of my junior year, I had gotten most of what I had. So the senior year, I just kind of cruised, actually.
That's college you're talking about?
I'm talking about college now.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I've left high school.
Right.
And
you're in your junior year.
Any more questions about high school?
No, we're all right.
All right, I'm in college now, and I'm a senior.
Uh-huh.
And I've just got over there for my senior year, and I'm over in the student union building. That's where it's also the bookstore, and anyway. So I'm sitting there on a couch, something similar to this, and in there, and there's 4 girls. You can hear them giggling and all that, and they're coming up, and they're fixing to come up, And so then they come in with the 4th one. Well, when I saw her,
did she just kind of catch
when I saw her, you hit.
Yeah.
I had a little voice that said, "There she is, right there."
Yes, they used to say they had butterflies, but I'd say no, they're more like doves or something. They're too big for butterflies.
Well, this girl came from all the way up in the northeast corner in Clay County
Right.
to college over there. She was just over there as she was a freshman. I was a senior. And
you old man, you picking on that young gal.
you know, and but I was overcome.
Right.
And you know, I kept thinking about her, and a few days after that, I got a call from down in they said you got a phone call down here. It only had one phone, and it was in the office down in I was on the second floor of the dormitory, and so anyway, it was a girl that I knew, and she said, there's a girl over here that's kind of
Sweet
got her
on
eye on you.
She's sweet on
You know, I really think you ought to ask her out for a date. I said, are you sure? Oh, yes. So I called her up, and she accepted, and we had 66 years.
Yeah.
I'll skip all the in between,
Miss Anita.
but we were married
Sweet lady.
for 66 years.
Yeah.
And
Don't you think sometimes they'll read it? I think sometimes God orchestrates things for us in our life.
no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Things don't just happen.
You know, because the word coincidence is not in the Bible.
No, it is not.
You know, and I think God has plans in our life. Sometimes we don't recognize.
Well,
what
it
He's
has.
doing at the moment.
It has. You know, I'm fixing to move.
Yeah, I know. you will.
When we built a house up here,
Yeah.
I never had any idea that, you know, that's where we'd finish it out.
Right.
But, you know, things just didn't turn out that way.
God has different plans,
And,
time to
yeah,
go.
well, I guess so.
Yeah.
So here's the exciting part about this. I don't know what He's got in store for me over where I'm heading,
Right.
in Oklahoma.
Right.
And so you know, so I'm keeping my ears, my eyes open, you know,
Yeah.
to see.
If I could ask you a little advice here, since we're kind of talking on this line, for a young person that's going right now, what is one thing that they need to keep focused into their life so they can recognize where God wants them for the next phase in their life?
Well, prayer, of course,
Right.
is a good way, and going to church,
Right.
get involved in that, and
Being open to listen to Him, isn't
open
it?
to listen,
Yeah.
because there's things out there, you know, and He may just be saying that woman, you know, maybe needs a little help there. You go over there and help, you know, or you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. But I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
And I get comfort from that.
Right.
I won't know for certain till I get and He'll say, well, you know, there's.
Yeah.
Well,
This question too, I asked my Uncle Hayden this. In different phases in our life, our prayer life is affected differently. You know, when we're raising children, they make us pray. But as you got older now, how important is your prayer life for you now?
Well, I try to keep it active.
Yeah.
And I have a time early in the morning is the time that I've chosen.
To me, it's
But it's not necessarily that, you know, you can pray
Yeah.
whenever you want to.
what
and
Paul said. He prayed without ceasing. But
Well,
you know. To me, as the years have progressed, I think the prayer life for me has become more of a companionship. That when I read the Word in the Bible, it seems like that I can kind of hear God.
yeah,
We kind of converse. We've gone through a lot together, so
yeah,
I think. Don't you think there's a lot of relationship growth
yeah,
in your life, and don't you think that's what young people need to
Yeah.
look for?
definitely. They need if they'll just. Well, here's where I discovered it, and that was, and I've had discovering it more as I said up here looking back.
Right.
That for instance, the moves that we have made. You know, we lived up on the in the house up there. Well, I would have never expecting to sell that house.
Right.
But thought that would be it. We were there for about 40, almost 45 years, but we had an aunt and some other. We were having to go back and forth to Springfield, and so my wife said, "Well, we ought to just move up there, I guess." And I said, "We'll never sell this. We'd have to sell this house first."
Yeah.
I said, "We'll never sell this," but we did. I mean, but this is funny. I was just in the restaurant, and this pharmacist actually from the hospital.
Right.
I just said, "Well, hi, how are you doing?" "Well, good." "And how you like it?" "Well, it's just the drive over here, but I can't find any place over here
For sale."
For sale. So I said, "Well, I might."
That was that was another coincidence.
That's another coincidence.
Yeah, that's right.
He said, I told him I might know of one. Okay. So we moved to Missouri for almost, I like to call it our mission trip.
There you go.
Yeah. Because we were up there for 8 or 10 years, but it looked like what had been there for and all that, we were getting kind of bored. And I said,
Go back home.
"Anita, what do you want to do now?"
Yeah.
Well, she said, "I'd like to go back home." And so I said, "Well, we can't go now because the bottom has dropped out of the housing market. There's houses everywhere."
Right. Yeah.
And then a day or two later, Steve, my son, called and he said, "There's a woman here in the store asked me, do you know of any houses for sale?"
There's that coincidence.
Well, long story short, they came, looked at it. It was the 50th house they had looked at.
Wow.
They looked at 49. Ours was the 50th. They said, "This is just what we're looking for."
Yeah. God was orchestrated.
So we moved back.
Let me see
Now,
where
this house that we got up here, I was showing them the little house over here that's for sale. It's next door here.
Right.
And it was a little bit small. And I said, "Well, really what you ought to do is just buy my house." She was from Florida, South Florida.
Right.
She owns the house now.
Wow. That's it. That's amazing. Hey, listen, I'm going to close this one off. Then we're going to start up again. I want you to tell me a little bit what it was like during the wartime. Would you care?
Sure thing.
Okay. All right.